Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be demoing 7 different pianos from Native Instruments, including the Giant, Alicia's Keys, the Grandeur, the Maverick, the Gentleman, Noire, and una Corda. So I'm just going to be improvising and switching between them so you can get a flavor for the differences between the pianos. So let's do it. Alright, first let's start off with the Gentleman, which is based on an upright piano. For this one, all I've done is increase the color a little bit so that it's a little more bright. Alright, so first impressions, I kind of like this piano. It's got this really nice, warm, like vintagey vibe to it. So if you're into that kind of old school jazz, it's not too old school, so it's not like a old like ragtime kind of out of tune piano. It's more like a nice upright. Alright, next I've opened up the Grandeur, and this one is kind of like a concert grand piano, like a classic. All right, so that's the Grandeur. Yeah, first impressions. Yeah, it's definitely more of like a clean concert grand. All right, next we have the Maverick, which is another grand piano. This is my favorite out of the three that come in like a pack, the Maverick, the Grandeur, and the Gentleman. Because it's more of like a darker grand, a little more intimate. Really nice piano. It's more of like a darker, warmer grand piano, I would say. So it's great if you want something in between, I would say, the other two, like the upright and the other bright grand. All right, next up, we've got Alicia's keys. I've added a ton of auditorium reverb, and this is the reverb that comes bundled with the plugin. Yeah, the Alicia's Keys is a beautiful piano. It's a nice combination of like warm and bright and clean. Like the low end is not muddy, it's just like warm enough. Everything has this like velvety feel to it. All right, so far we've been playing with pretty kind of standard pianos. There's two pianos that are a bit more esoteric and weird that come with native instruments. One is the Giant and the other one is Una Corda. So let's play with the Giant now. So the Giant simulates like a fake, really tall piano. All right, so I'm just gonna browse through a few presets. So this one is the basic Giant. And already I can feel like a very subby bass. Next we have a preset called Grand Pop. So it's more of like a bright poppy piano. Oh, you hear that? There's some sustain pedal noises. Next we have a preset called All That Jazz. Next, a preset called Concert Hall. Next is one called Lots of Noise. So this one has all the kind of articulation noises. The pedal, the random wood clacks and clickety clacks. And it's one called Emotional, which is very like soft. All right, that's it for the Giant. There's plenty more presets that change the kind of character of the sound. It's a very interesting piano in that you can get more bass than a typical piano because you're emulating these really long strings. It's not my favorite piano out of the bunch, but if you're looking for something for a little more character that is different than the average piano, it's something worth checking out. Next is a piano called Una Corda, which I think just means one string. And this one also gives you a ton of different customization under the hood, so you can set different kinds of noises. And it also comes in 3 different flavors. You have cotton, felt, and then pure. Right now we're listening to the pure one. So it's got a more glassy sound than a typical piano. We can add some fabric sounds. This is a curtain. A felt. Leather. And of course you can change the volume of all these extra sounds. And you can add the mechanical noises. So I find like this one and the Grand or the Giant one are more for like emulating pianos that you normally find in the real world. It's almost got like a bit of a harp or a dulcimer type of sound to it. All right, let me load up the felt variation. It's a really interesting sound. I kind of like it. Obviously, you're not going to use this if you want just a typical piano, but it's nice for like a different atmosphere. Wow, that's actually really cool. It's very expressive and immersive. Like you can lose yourself in the playing because of that like flap, flap, flap sound. Beautiful. I'm quite impressed with the Una Corda. And finally, we have our newest piano, which is Noire, and I'll do a separate video dedicated to Noire and kind of going more in depth in terms of the sounds. This is a Niels Fram's piano. I think it's a giant 9-foot Yamaha CFX, I think. And this one also comes in 2 flavors. You have the pure and then you have the felt one, which is recorded with like a felt damper on the strings. And you have the same kinds of controls, color, tonal shift. let's load up the felt variation of the same piano. All right, that concludes this episode. So in terms of the different pianos, my favorite by far is the Noire, just because, like I said, it's very universal. It can go from warm and smooth, it can go to bright, and most importantly, to me, it sounds the best across the range. So it doesn't have mud in the low range. The high range is clear. Plus you get that particle engine, which you can go crazy with. So check out my dedicated video on Noire if you want to hear that and more in depth about this instrument. But in terms of pure kind of sound, if you remove all the different features, I still think that that one sounds the best. Second, in my opinion, is the Alicia's keys. That one also sounds really good. And then in terms of the like more strange ones that are trying to emulate different things, I would say that the Una Corda, to me at least, gave me the most inspiration, or it's the one I got lost in the most, because it's one thing just to listen to the sounds, but it's another to create a connection with the sound via a controller and an instrument. So when you're playing a sound, it's a little bit different than when you're just hearing it. So for me, Una Corda, compared to the others, got me lost the most in the sound while playing it, and that's a good sign. That means that the sound blends well with the controls, so that you can get lost and focus on the playing and the music and not get distracted by the quirks of the instrument. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.